through a super sticker, and we'll read your comment on the air. I want to welcome this guy in before we start Florida. He was the former fabulous producer of the show, and he stepped into now he's working at a real job. He's got a real job in technology. Yes, I know.
Wait,
with benefits
job?
And everything. Imagine.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. It's sadly. Anyway, please, a warm Mark Thompson show welcome for the great John Daly. Yes. Hey, John Daly.
Hello.
Look at you. Wow. Handsome
How are you
devil
doing?
with the very well. Are those graphs behind you? It looks. Oh, that's
CNBC here at the
see.
Mark Thompson Auxiliary Newsroom.
Keeping an eye on the market. So
yeah, I feel more comfortable when I'm keeping an eye on the market.
I see. Okay, great. Well, we always love your contributions in Friday Fabulous Florida. So without any further delay, let's do it. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
I must say that this headline, now, we always decide what our favorite story is at the end of this, and we ask you, watching and listening, to decide as well. But this headline must be your favorite, I would think. And I'll just, now with that preamble,
And are you telling me my favorite before you even get there?
I'm saying that I'm so struck by this, I think it's just going to be, I don't
it's
know
a
how
free
it
and
misses,
fair election.
Sorry, you're right.
What's happening? It's like I'm
I
standing
didn't mean to
in
put my
line
finger on the scale.
I'm being,
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Yeah, it won't happen again. Florida man set his apartment on fire as revenge against his HOA. Then shot himself. You've got to let me get the whole thing out. Florida man set his apartment on fire as revenge against his HOA, then shot himself. Okay. That, to me, I'm sorry, is a major Florida headline. But now let me tell you the story. It's Longwood, Florida. This Central Florida man apparently setting his own apartment on fire because he was upset with the homeowners association. That led to an explosion with injuries and damages. Mark Herman, 53, was arrested and booked into the Seminole County Jail Monday on 4 arson charges. He appeared in court via video. He was seen lying on his side after being treated for his injuries. On January 14th, the fire broke out. And when the smoke rose through the roof, authorities responded. The deputy asked about all the injuries because he was draped in towels with blood on his face and hand. And when he asked about the injuries, the law enforcement officer was told that the blood had been caused by a gun. The deputy said he then continued to talk to him to try to figure out what happened. Before the fire, a judge had denied his request to reverse a foreclosure on his home. So it was kind of like a lot of stuff was going on. The HOA eventually filed a lien against him. Here it is. As residents told law enforcement, they were inside their apartment when they heard a loud and huge explosion. One resident who lived below Herman escaped out her front door, had to dodge flaming debris. Another resident said the explosion threw them into the closet. 3 apartments were impacted by the fire, and apparently in all of this, he shot himself. It would appear that his wound was an accident, although it did graze his head. A little unclear. There was a lot going on.
There's never been anything like this.
Not many more details on it than that.
No mention of the meth production that led to the explosion?
There was nothing. Apparently, it was all about he didn't want anybody else to live in that place if he couldn't live there. So
yeah, if I can't have it, ain't nobody can have it.
In one of your favorite places, John Daly, a Florida man has won $1 million. I'm talking about Publix. Publix. Yes.
You know where that is.
Tampa, Florida. Yeah, isn't it Near the Whole Foods, I believe, is the Publix. They have them all. Always, they go up right across the street from the Whole Foods. One lucky Florida man is crediting another person's behavior, though, for winning $1 million prize playing the scratch-off lottery game at Publix. That's because this other guy cut line. So in the line to get the ticket, had this other guy not cut line, this guy wouldn't have got the winning scratch-off ticket because the other guy
instant karma.
in front of him.
Yeah, that's karma. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. It was the end of a long day. I was tired, said 43-year-old Delray Beach resident Stephen Munoz Espinoza. I stopped at Publix and I was about to buy a ticket at the machine when a man cut right in front of me. Instead of saying something, he decided to buy a ticket at the counter instead, did Espinoza. And that's when he realized that he picked up a $1 million scratch-off ticket. Espinoza told the Florida Lottery that the win was still hard to believe. I can't believe I won $1 million, he said. He and his wife now plan on buying a home for their family. Isn't that nice?
That's nice. Yeah.
Maybe one that's been recently blown up.
There are some bargains. There are some bargains. A Florida OnlyFans model is suing the school district over allegedly barring her from volunteering. They don't want her near the volunteer effort because she's an OnlyFans model.
What?
In Orlando, Florida, a mother is suing the Florida school district claiming she is not allowed to volunteer at her children's school because she's an OnlyFans model. Victoria,
this is different than the other
Hayes.
story you did. You did a story before that was an actual teacher on OnlyFans, right?
This is a
Yes,
parent
that's
volunteer.
Right. So
Yeah.
maybe she referred her.
Right.
Ooh, it's a
You want to get the
wild
teachers.
idea, but it just
The
might
teachers
work.
want to get the parents involved. You know, in the
I'm sorry,
education.
man.
I know where you can
You
volunteer.
can't volunteer because you're naked. Yeah.
She had volunteered for 5 years before apparently she was reported. You know, it's always that way. You know, Mrs. Jones has been a teacher for 3.5 years, a favorite teacher at the school. Blah blah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, somebody realizes she did porn or something. Now they've expelled her. They've gotten rid of her. They fired her. In this case, 5 years she was volunteer before this was reported, and she passed the annual background check, no sweat, all of those 5 years. The 31-year-old says she posts sexually explicit photos to OnlyFans because she has a 9-to-5 job that keeps her from spending time with her 2 boys. And, oh, I'm sorry. That's not why. The article is written in an odd way. She posts sexually explicit photos to OnlyFans because of the constraints of a 9-to-5 job. No, that's not why she posts. This is just an odd way to write it.
Well, who could work
She
wants
posts-
to work 9 to 5 when you could work for 20 minutes and make however much money? And
Oh,
be
I
there
see.
for
I
pickup.
see. Oh, I understand. You're right. It's written correctly. She's saying, I don't want a 9-to-5. I want to
No.
go OnlyFans for like an hour. Then I got enough money to spend time with my 2 boys. So you're right.
And I have time to volunteer in the classroom.
Now, you know, this background check was not run by a guy. Because if a guy did the background check, would have found this immediately.
That's exactly right. Hey, I watch her. Absolutely right. A Florida man trying to spit on a speeding car falls as he's doing it from his 3rd floor balcony. Yes.
Ooh,
This
it's
is
a wild idea, but it just might work.
As it turns out, it didn't really work too well. The Ocean City, Florida area is where the story comes from. And a man on the 3rd floor of an apartment complex on Racetrack Road.
Oh, you know where that
Remember
is.
that area? Yeah.
It's not public
Wait, someone's
information.
speeding on Racetrack Road and that's a problem?
Yeah.
What did they think
Imagine
when
that.
they named
Right,
it that?
exactly. Yeah. But he tried to spit on a speeding car in the parking lot of his apartment complex, you see. He leaned out and then he fell out. And
You know, I'm willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
I do believe that he was in an altered state, but he did survive the fall. A Florida man dubbed the pooping perpetrator is caught by
What?
police over Joe's Crab Shack break-in. Police in Florida are asking for the public's assistance in identifying a man they've dubbed the pooping perpetrator. He was caught on surveillance video at 2:30 a.m. at a Joe's Crab Shack in Fort Myers, allegedly climbing through a small window that he broke prior to stealing multiple items, including alcohol. And then, before he left, he defecated on the floor. Well, I mean,
That sounds more like a San Francisco story.
it is. It's odd that
Maybe he was on vacation.
And finally, I believe this is not finally. An alligator abandoned in New Jersey
There we go.
is now in Florida at a Tampa sanctuary. Isn't that a nice story? Yeah. A young alligator found inside a plastic storage bin abandoned in a New Jersey parking lot. I think we had that story. Has found a new home in Tampa. It was found late at night in Neptune Township, New Jersey. And apparently, a teenager reported this alligator abandoned, and then the cops figured out that the Jersey kid had staged abandoning the alligator. It belonged to him.
So did the alligator ask for asylum? I want to go to Florida. Yeah.
That would be the place to go.
Yeah.
The owner and the kid does face charges from the Jersey Department of Fish and Wildlife for keeping prohibited and dangerous exotic species as pets. There's so much of that in this country, but there's at least they got the guy. Anyway, the SPCA transferred the alligator, and it's going to Florida. And apparently, people wanting to donate to that place have actually sent donations to both Florida and to the local shelter where they held the alligator for a time, but now it's being rehomed in Florida. So another croc encounter, but this one ends in a good way. And finally, there is this, a swindle. There is no bottom, as you know, in Florida. There is no end. There is no sleaziness so sleazy that it can't be pulled off in Florida. And here you go. A Holocaust survivor swindled out of $2.8 million by a Florida woman that he met on a dating app. 36-year-old Florida woman arrested after federal authorities say she swindled a Holocaust survivor out of $2.8 million. It was a years-long scheme, and it began on a dating app. The U.S. attorney said in a statement that Peaches Stergo of Champions Gate, that's southwest of Orlando, was arrested Wednesday. And in a statement, Stergo maliciously drained the life. This is the U.S. attorney made a statement saying that Stergo had maliciously drained the life savings of an 87-year-old man so she become a millionaire through the fraud. Stergo forged documents, impersonated a bank employee in exchange for a life of fancy trips, Rolex watches, and luxury purchases, says the U.S. attorney.
Her name should have been a tip-off.
Peaches?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say
nothing good happens when you date Peaches.
You have to be savvy about these kinds of things.
Either they're really great, sometimes Peaches are really great, the people named Peaches.
Or she came from the strip club.
Yeah, it is a stripper name. Yeah. Bank records show that the victim gave her $25,000, even though authorities said that she says she never got any money. And
was that like the deposit on the scam?
Yeah, $2.8 million. Wow. Pretty wild. And that, my friends, is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
We have to choose a favorite, and I will remind you of those that we're choosing from. Florida man set his apartment on fire as revenge against the HOA and then shot himself. Yeah. Florida man wins $1 million after somebody else cut line while he was waiting to get a lottery ticket. Had the person not cut line, he wouldn't have had the winner. Florida OnlyFans model is suing the school district over being banned as a volunteer, even though she'd been volunteering for 5 years and now is being banned because of her OnlyFans site. A Florida man trying to spit on a speeding car in the parking lot below, spits from the 3rd floor balcony, as John says, might have been enhanced by other substances, but he fell the 3 stories. A Florida man dubbed the pooping perpetrator is still at large tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There's a pooping perpetrator still at large today. Authorities need your help.
Well, you can follow the trail.
Follow the trail. Come on. That's strong. That's very strong. Yes, Albert, I think that was applause-worthy. And the alligator being abandoned in New Jersey, but then rehomed in Tampa. And finally, the Florida woman jumps on a dating site, finds an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor, and swindles him out of $2.8 million. I ask you, John Daly, what is your favorite?
I like the HOA fire explosion.
It's tough to beat. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's
How about
very
you,
Florida.
Kim? Yeah.
I really enjoy a nice punch of karma. You know, I think it's telling that you cut in line and the next guy after that gets the $1 million scratcher. I'm going scratcher.
Yeah. I'm looking. Albert, what was your favorite?
Well, I think this week, just in headlines, is probably my favorite week. We have an OnlyFans mention. We had a guy getting in line, a guy trying to spit on another car,
alligator
from a balcony. The guy who shot himself, obviously. But I think I'm going to go. I do have the poll up, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's a poll on YouTube.
Is actually in the lead, but I have to
go
with the HOA guy. I also have to go with the HOA guy.
I like that Albert has to do all the work now, and I can just like come in like a talk show host and hang out.
Yeah.
Must be nice, Mark.
Yeah. You just serve up. No, exactly. It's a great life. If you you did serve up the great line, to give you credit. He left a trail. Maybe he left a trail.
Yeah.
What was your actual line that was strong? Very strong.
Yeah, they can follow the trail. Yeah.
They can follow the trail. That was it.
Yeah.
So Albert, you're saying on YouTube now the lottery ticket is the favorite.
We're influencing the vote a little bit by talking about it. The HOA is actually inching closer and closer to the lottery winner, but lots of good voter participation here. We don't.
Can I just say I'm surprised there's no mention of meth in any of these stories. You could have added a meth pipe to any of these stories.
That's true. That's exactly right. John's right. I mean, if left a meth pipe at the scene,
right?
Authorities discovered a meth pipe. Could have worked in any of these. Yeah, in any of these stories, literally.
You're right. No meth pipes and no machetes were mentioned.
Apartment caught on fire due to meth. Yeah.
I like that. The lottery thing, if you think it through, is a pretty. I love stuff like that where something happened. I've told the story. I've never told it on this show, I don't think, since we've gone to YouTube, and I haven't told it in a few years, and I'm not going to tell it now. The $500 chip story. But that was informed by all of these different things that had to come together with a $500 chip, a Bellagio chip that was worth $500 that was returned to me. And it's amazing because there's no way to know that that $500 chip is mine. But when the course of events is explained to, it's great. You can find it online. I told the story on TYT. So if you're really curious, you can find it.
But now they have a tracking device in all those chips, right?
Yeah, they don't. Well, they have a tracking device to know whether it's authentic, but they can't tell you. It's not tracking. It's just to tell you whether it's real. Yeah, and whether it came from their casino. But anyway, I digress. I guess that's what I'm saying. I kind of like the coincidence that had to happen for that guy to win, but for pure Florida, got to go with HOA. You really got to go with HOA. Yeah.
Plus, you have that experience with the HOA.
Yes, I have. I've told my HOA stories. It's not a pretty place, HOAs.
No.
Albert, what is the final tally on YouTube, please? The final vote.
Yeah, out of 80 votes, the lottery winner slightly won with 37% of the vote. HOA was at 34. So the lottery winner won twice on the Mark Thompson Show, and
there you go,
and some money.
Very well done, everybody. Very, very cool. Well, yes. Thank you for participating, everyone. And thank you, Albert. And thank you, John Daly. Back to your high-paying job with benefits, and leave us scrubs here to beg for donations.
And
thanks,
watch
Johnny.
out for your Bitcoin.
Thank you. John's watching the markets. Look at him back there. He's got crypto behind him, all of that stuff. When we come back, I do want to acknowledge, you'll tell me when I should do it, Albert. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.